My name is Paulina Cameron. I'm the CEO of the forum. My pronouns are she, her, and I want to thank you all for joining us today. While I so wish I was hosting you over some wonderful beverages and doling out the hugs, I hope that one day soon we will be able to do that. And in the meantime, thank you for showing up in this digital space with us. I'm going to begin our time together by acknowledging the land that we are gathered on. And I invite you to, in the chat, pop in where you are based on. And if you know the native indigenous land that you're on, welcome to identify that as well. So I am based right now in the territory called North Vancouver, which is the traditional, ancestral, and stolen lands of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. And as we dial in from all across Canada today, I invite you to consider and take a moment to recognize and to give gratitude to the elders and peoples on whose land we are on today. I'm a first-generation white settler, originally born in Poland, and I feel deep gratitude to be able to live here, as well as acknowledge the privilege I hold as a white settler here. So we're here today, 3 months post Pitch for the Purse finale, which feels like both happened yesterday and like a year ago. It has felt like a whirlwind, a beautiful whirlwind since then. And we're so excited to be taking a moment together to check in with our 3 finalists. So Pitch for the Purse is one of the anchor programs for the forum. It is the 5th year of it has happened. You know, the organization is going into its 20th year, and Pitch for the Purse has been such a beautiful program to create impact for entrepreneurs, but also a beautiful way to gather together. And so today we're going to go 3 months later. Let's check in with our finalists to see where are they now? What has happened for them? What are their businesses? What's happened with their businesses over the last few months? And when we last saw them, they were on screen. For many of us, I know we might have been making dinner in the meantime. We might have been watching and frantically trying to get our votes in. So let's check in with them. The last time they were in front of an audience of, just over 2,000 folks tuning in from all over. So it'll be exciting to hear where they have progressed to date. I'll remind us that when Pitch for the Purse, when we launched it digitally this year, we were so gratefully surprised and amazed at the response that the program received. Since the beginning of the pandemic, demand for all of our programs has more than quadrupled, and that was the same for Pitch for the Purse. We had 466 applications for this year alone. To give you a sense, all of the 4 previous years combined was 475. Had I known maybe we'd have that many, we might have considered our timelines and resources a little bit differently, but we were so glad to be here to support that many women entrepreneurs from all across Canada. From our 466 applications, we then had 12 semifinalists, which our 10 community panel members helped select 3 amazing women entrepreneurs and take their businesses to the finals. And I want to take a second to thank Connie, Rachel, and Karen for taking the time to be with us here today. And the format for today will be a digital fireside conversation. I did consider sitting in front of my fireplace for you, but we'll have a digital fireside conversation with our 3 incredible entrepreneurs. And if you have any questions or thoughts or ideas that you want to bring into the conversation or pop in, please feel free to add them in the chat and I will weave them into the conversation as well. We will save a couple moments towards the end as well. All right. Hello, Connie. Hello, Rachel. Hello, Karen. So good to see you again. I'm going to do a very snapshot recap of each of your businesses and who you are, and then we're going to dive in. So Karen, I'll introduce you first. Karen is, of course, the CEO and co-founder of Bloom, a caffeine and dairy-free alternative to coffee drinks. Bloom is a company aiming to make superfoods a daily ritual. I will share that on our team, the beet and the blue one, which name I always forget, the blue lavender is an absolute favorite. It often makes an appearance during our team meetings. And Rachel is the founder and CEO of High IB Health, whose mission it is to create a new and better way to provide pelvic floor rehabilitation for women who have gone through pelvic-based cancers and diseases. And third is Connie Stacy, president and founder of Growing Greener Innovations. Connie and her team are on a mission to end energy poverty with their award-winning portable energy technology. And I remember, Connie, when Christian was introducing you, I'm pretty sure on screen, he called you Canada's Elon Musk's, which I love. So take that as your claim to fame and run with it. Thanks all for being with us here today.
Well, thanks for having us.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do kind of round robin to begin with. And Connie, let's start with you. So you were our winner this year, and I really want to know, it's been 3 months. How you doing?
It's been a lot more gray hairs, but also a lot more laugh lines. So it's been a crazy 3 months. I mean, the amount of attention we got as a result of the pitch for the purse was fantastic. It actually accelerated some of our plans in terms of production and a raise. So that has gone extremely well, and we're really stoked about where we're at.
Amazing. Okay. So one of the things you were sharing with me when we were catching up is going into a raise and how that was going. I'm so curious, what are you able to share with us today?
Okay, well, I got to leave some details out for obvious reasons, but we should be very quickly getting our term sheet signed and all of that. But we were oversubscribed. We had so much interest that we decided we would go ahead and do the raise for our production equipment, which is, of course, the most expensive part for us. And we were able to select 3 partners for a total raise of 10 million. With excellent terms for us. So we're really excited about that. And that's going to see us move things ahead fast. And with it, again, I can't say who yet, but hopefully there will be a great big announcement coming up that we've got a Canadian partner, a national distributor for our home residential system, which hopefully will be announced very soon. And we're very excited about the partnership.
10 million, that's huge, Connie. That is huge. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Going into Pitch for the Purse, did you think this is where you'd be 3 months later?
Not a chance.
Okay, amazing. We'll come back to you with some more questions. Let's shift over to Karen. So I know that you have seen some really substantial growth for your business as well as your team. Can you tell us where you're at right now?
Thanks. Yeah, to echo kind of the thoughts of Connie, it's just been such an exciting time post Pitch for the Purse. Like the main thing for us that we got out of the program was just like a different type of focus, a different type of like vision and ambition for the company. So over the last 3 months, like in April, we did the same amount of revenue that we did in all of 2019. So the trajectory has just really changed in terms of like what I think I'm capable of, what the team's capable of, and like what the business is capable of. And I continue to work with Nanon, which I'm so grateful for. So she was my mentor during the competition. So yeah, that's kind of what we're now expanding into natural grocery and, you know, looking to the States as well. So it's just been like a really rapid growth time for us, and it's been really exciting.
Okay, Karen, I need to repeat that because I feel like that was amazing. So in April 2021, the month after Pitch for the Purse, you had as many sales as all of 2019 combined. That is unbelievably amazing. Well done. Well done. I know when we talked to you, you were also sharing that you're going through a lot of team growth. What has that looked like for you?
Yeah, so in March of 2020, it was just me. So I was, you know, I think when I put in my application, it was just me for Pitch for the Purse. And now our team is up to 9 people. So it's been a really big shift also for me in terms of how I, you know, the things that I should work on and the things I shouldn't work on, and just a huge learning experience. But it's been great to bring, you know, talented people who are passionate about the business and passionate about our team and wellness, to bring totally fresh perspectives into what we should do next. We just launched a new blend actually yesterday, a Rose London Fog, and we broke all our records for sales in a day, like D2C channels, B2B channels, everything. So we're just so fired up for what's coming down the pipeline.
That's amazing. And, you know, I loved when at the beginning you talked about that shift in your vision and imagining what's possible. When you were going into the Pitch for the Purse and, you know, looking back even a year ago, what did you think your top line would be at this year? And now what are you shooting for?
Yeah, we thought that, you know, I put together this budget for 2020, which I thought was so ambitious, you know, doubling our revenue. And we ended up 7xing it basically. So I've really changed like how I push myself and how I push the team and what I think is possible. So yeah, it's been like a really exciting process, and I've learned so much both through Pitch for the Purse and like the months afterwards.
Amazing. Okay, love hearing all that. Rachel, what is your world?
Oh gosh. Yeah, so I mean, we were a lot earlier than who we were up against in the competition. I mean, when Pitch for the Purse came around was actually our first year anniversary of even being a company. So we are still quite young and still in the process of figuring it all out. And boy, did we figure it out. It's been crazy. So part of what has happened is rolling into larger clinical trials. So I love that we got access to the West Coast and got some presence there, because just because we're in Ontario doesn't mean that only Ontario women have pelvic floor issues. So it was great to be able to get exposure. We're talking to University of Calgary now on a second site for a clinical trial. And we got access to a number of investors on the West Coast, which I'm sure we'll chat about a little bit more. But my ultimate goal was to get the word out there, because there's just so many women who don't understand that what they're going through is not normal. And when we did Pitch for the Purse, the amount of signups on our website to participate in our trials, in our focus groups, even just desperately want the product, went up significantly. I think we are at 78 patients alone from the forum exposure, which is amazing. So every woman counts in that aspect. So I'm grateful for it.
Oh, every woman counts. Leave no woman behind. Yes. Okay. So you, Rachel mentioned investments in your financing round. Where are you at with your process for that?
Yeah, so we had kicked off an investment raise in January and started piecing all of that together. Pitch for the Purse came at the perfect time to be able to get exposure to investors across Canada, and we did. So we are in the process of closing. We have 445 in the bank right now. We're closing 750 on a note. So we still have some more room. I do have the government coming in on matching and a couple others in process, but it's never done until it's done and in the bank. So my call out is anybody else who might be interested. We still have some room available, and I am so thankful for the investors that have come in. I just love that I can pick up the phone and they're just like, talk to me, like, tell me how it's going. Let's have a therapy session, whatever you need. And majority of them have been female, which is so amazing, because VC and female is a few and far between thing, it seems these days.
It is. And it's so incredible to hear that that's been a priority and a value that you've brought forward as well into your cap table.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Rachel, I'll stick with you and I'll have the same question for each of you. And I want you to think back to August of 2020, which is when you were applying for Pitch for the Purse, if that is even imaginable. I'd love to hear what motivated you to sign up for Pitch for the Purse. What were you really hoping from the process and from the community, and how that has tracked against what the experience was in reality for you?
Yeah, so August 2020. Wow. Trying to think back, it seems like ages ago. The days just blur now. Fall was a tough one for us, and it was a tough growing pain, kind of tough, because we were trying to decide the direction we were going to take, and really needed advice and mentorship. And I say kind of a kick in the butt to go in the right direction. And when applying for Pitch for the Purse, I think part of it was the mentorship in the network, being able to get exposed to so many people in your network for the forum that can give us the access to the real life. Like, it's not the theoretical, it's the real life people who've done it, have the experience, and know the trials and tribulations of what we're trying to decide. And so when I applied, I mean, not only wanting to get that Canadian exposure, cross Canada exposure for women everywhere, but also being able to tap into the resources in the network that the Pitch for the Purse program, and more importantly, the forum, could provide for us to make appropriate decisions in a critical time to make those decisions.
Okay, that's so great to hear. It's such a good perspective. Karen, how about you?
I think when I originally applied, it was, maybe surface level, it was exposure, hoping to get in front of more people and build brand awareness. And what actually came out of the program was clarity of vision, a development of the business plan. To do a pitch in such a condensed amount of time in front of so many people makes you think through the problems you're facing in your business in almost like it was like a boot camp where it's like, okay, if I'm going to say this in front of a lot of people, this better be like more thought out than I, and just clearer for myself. So, and something that I got out of Pitch for the Purse that I wasn't expecting during the application process is validation. It's a validation of your business, that you're being taken seriously, and how it performed, like how we came out in the top 3 out of so many applications. It's just, a vote of confidence in what we're doing, which is, I think, for me, was like really important to push me to the next stage. So for me, like, not only did we get the exposure, which was maybe what I originally went in with, but it was so many other things beyond that.
Amazing. Thank you. Connie?
August 2020, it's a bit of a blur. I remember one of our tech advisors from Alberta Innovate called me up and said, Connie, I've got one for you should apply for. And I was like, Rick, I'm just too busy for this. And I wasn't going to apply, but he's like, this is really good exposure. You should practice. It'll be a very good process. And groan. And then I looked into it and I thought, okay, well, actually, this seems like a pretty good one, because sometimes, they're pretty small and things like that. And this seemed like a pretty big one. So I thought, okay, I'm going to apply. And I got a little bit surprised when I made it to the semifinals. And honestly, I did not expect to make it past the semifinals, partly because honestly, pitching deep tech is a tough thing to try and I know Rachel in particular, you would have a little bit of this as well. When you talk deep tech and science, it's hard to cram it into 3 minutes and make it make sense for people. So I had a really good experience actually with Christian in particular in trying to kind of figure out how to put it in front of the audience in a way that made sense to them and hit the most important points. So afterwards, it's been even better because I think, we've had so many requests where people just want more information. So my more expanded pitch, I really started to get a sense of, oh, okay, a lot more interested in this part and how we are more environmentally friendly in our processes and things like that. So the whole process surprised me. I really didn't expect it to be as big as it was, but that was a delight.
I hear you on that. I do. I'm so glad that they convinced you to apply. We'll have to send them a little thank you. I'll ask a question of, each one of you, as you're looking at this audience of people who care deeply about supporting women entrepreneurs, who are very much invested, some actually invested, and all very deeply supportively invested in seeing each of you succeed and thrive. What is the most important and most supportive thing that they can do for you right now? What is your call to action to this community? Let's start with you, Connie.
I knew you were going to do that. You're going to reverse again. You know what? I think for us with the push now to put out our new residential products sooner than we originally thought, I think just spreading the word and anybody who's interested in information, we're planning to put out a big newsletter and some updates about getting information. So if anybody wants information or would like to get on the newsletter, it's info@growinggreener.ca. And just really high level, the residential system we're putting out is kind of more targeted at the everyday family than some of the products on the market right now, which are, kind of start in the $15,000 to $20,000 range. This will give people the opportunity to reduce their carbon footprint, lower their electrical bill, and give them a good backup, as well as prep for solar when they're ready. So, just kind of high level.
Love it. Love it. So good. Thanks, Connie. That's it. That's a clear and direct one that we can all get on board for. Okay, Rachel, how about you?
One thing that encompasses a whole bunch of things at once is connections. So we're looking for OBGYNs, pelvic floor therapists, anyone, any clinician really that we can talk to. If they're in research, even better, because we're trying to do multi-site clinical trials at this point. There's a lot of patient groups we're going after. So, and we can only do them one by one. So the more, the better. We're setting up our manufacturing right now, and I'm hoping, praying, and trying so hard to keep it in Canada. So any connections to manufacturers, medical grade would be amazing. And then of course, any woman who is dealing with pelvic floor issues, come to us, please. We're setting up focus groups. We're chatting with people about their conditions just to learn more. Every patient has their own experience, and we want to make sure to cover it.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. And is there a link or an email that's best to connect with you for?
Yeah, so you can sign up on our website, hiiv.com, or you can email me personally, rachel@hiiv.com.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. And Karen, same question to you.
For me, it's really similar to Rachel, connections and brand awareness and spreading the word about Bloom and the mission that we're working on. After Pitch, we did have some people approach us for raise or funding Bloom, but I've decided to keep going with Bloom and take it as far as I can by myself. And so just like having connections to people who work maybe in natural grocery, or, vendors that would be good fits, or brand collaborations that would be good fits for Bloom. I think that's like the biggest help that we could have right now.
Karen, I know when we talked last, you mentioned like Whole Foods, Nordstrom, FabFitFun. Are those still the right ones?
Like, those are definitely the types of partners we're looking to align with, and like, it doesn't have to be, place a huge PO. It can be also like learning from people who've expanded into natural grocery before, or expanded into the States before, and how we could be setting up our business better to strategically grow. So any of that would be super beneficial as we move kind of to the next stage.
Amazing. And how can people reach you, Karen?
Just through my email would be easiest. Yeah. And I can put it in the chat.
Okay. Amazing.
I can start. I'm really excited about a new product launch for us that goes into a different area. So we've kind of focused our first line on caffeine-free latte mixes, and we're working on something new that is, really outside the comfort zone. So it's both like extremely scary for me if our audience is going to love it the way I think they are, and all the challenges that come with a different type of manufacturing and different type of packaging and a different type of co-packer, but also really excited to start broadening the vision of Bloom and like what we can be for consumers. So that's the most exciting thing and most challenging thing for me right now.
Oh, go ahead, Rachel. I see you unmuted.
Oh, thanks. So for us, the most exciting thing is, yes, we're a device company, but more importantly, now we are becoming a data company. And the data is shocking me in terms of the amount we don't know about our bodies, and the amount of people who have never stuck sensors up there before. And so what we're finding is a lot of data points and a lot of data correlation on disease population, older women, women with different cultural backgrounds, that are suggesting that we can diagnose things that have never been diagnosed before. So we can actually give numbers to incontinence rates. We can give numbers, objective numbers. We're actually testing that right now with biospecimen collection, to pain, which is usually subjective. So that gets me excited, because that changes the future research, pharmaceutical, medical device perspectives of what the data can bring. And I mean, obviously we can make money off of that too, which is amazing, but it's caught the attention of a lot of large companies, big data plays, that for me, it's all about the greater good of the research and making women have healthier, better lives. The thing that's most fearful that comes along with that is the amount of work that needs to be done on the clinical side, which, as you all know, is super expensive and a super long process. But somebody has to do it. And we've decided we're pulling our socks up to be one of the first to actually do the clinical evidence piece and go through the proper regulatory channels. So that's my answer.
I guess that makes it my turn. I guess my most exciting and my scariest are kind of the same. The new partner that we are bringing on is capable of great high volume distribution. And that means two great things. Two things that are both great and scary. One, even a fraction of a percentage. So like 0.06, I think, is what we were aiming for in the first 5 years. In the first 5 years with that partner would see about $80 to $100 million in revenue, just at 0.08%. Like, it's not even a tenth of a percent. That's how big the market is. So it's a wonderful upside, and scary as heck when we talk about the growth, which is one of the reasons why the production equipment became a bigger deal, because if we're going to go into high volume right away, we needed it to be as automated and smooth as possible and easy to expand our production line. So it's definitely a big leap. So really exciting, but also definitely scary.
I'm happy to jump in here. So it was interesting when I applied and they made the announcement, because there was so many applications. And I think I brought this up, Paulina, when we were chatting, the amount of women who reached out to me going, how did you get that? What did you do? What was your secret sauce? And to learn about the amount of women that actually applied and knew about this across Canada, and they were looking for that additional, like, why not me? What can I do differently? I think presents a huge opportunity to connect them in, whether it's pre-application, post-application, or like in the whole process of things. And I know that each network, every single person is going to have a different thing that they like, right? And who knows what the whatever 450 other applicants brought to the table that others might be interested in. So that network effect, I think, is huge. And I think there was a lot of women who missed out wanting to know more and really connect in with the forum and the community that you guys offer. So I kind of said, hey, they're super approachable, approach them, ask them, talk to them, get connected into the community. And I don't know if it ever ended up happening, but I think that would be an awesome potential way.
I'll jump in with a thought as well. One of the things that, and this isn't specific to the pitch for the purse, but more of what the forum could potentially provide for others is, and this is partially my experience, but also partially from research, women entrepreneurs tend to not follow the same path as men. They tend to stay with their businesses longer, they exit for different reasons, a whole pile of things like that. But all of the systems that are in place, whether provincial or federal, et cetera, community-based, they always push you the same route. Like at this point, like I'm bootstrapped to this point, and that's very, very uncommon. I mean, every step of the way, I had people pushing me down that path that I didn't want to go. And I didn't have a place where I could go where people understood that women approach it different. And it's not, I think you guys already have the information, but I think it's almost like putting it out there that, hey, if you're looking for a different way, we have some answers. Because I couldn't find it. Everybody just kept saying, yeah, you got to do a pre-seed and you got to do this, you got to do that. And I was really, really passionate about the fact that, I personally am committing myself to trying to end global energy poverty. It's a huge thing. But that means I also am really sensitive about who I work with. And I'm not just giving it up to somebody who's only invested in the dollars that can come out of it. So yeah, I guess that kind of, look for the different solutions, look for the creative solutions here kind of, model. I don't know.
Love that. So juicy and good. I feel like I see my Slack blowing up over here, which means the team is going, yes, 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 to both of those comments. Karen, anything from you?
I love what Connie just said too, because, Bloom is scaling now profitably, bootstrapped, and we have that advice, and everybody's, you raise money as quickly as you can, hyper growth immediately. And there are different paths for different businesses, and there isn't just one direct strategy. So I love what Connie just said. But one thing that I thought while going through the Pitch for the Purse process was just that, there were actually lots of opportunities to talk to the semifinalists and talk, like Connie and Rachel, we chatted quite a bit, but maybe like different years as well, outside of the forum. I've been able to connect with other businesses that went through the process and gain a lot of learnings from what they did well, what they went on to do, how they leveraged Pitch for the Purse, like all that sort of stuff. And I think having a central place for it where I could connect to 3 ships or other CPG businesses that have gone through a similar kind of trajectory would be really, really helpful, and probably not just for me.
Mm-hmm. So good. Alumna community. I love it. So basically we have a really great to-do list as a team. More support, more community, dive in, host that space. That's really amazing. And my last question is a bit of a broad one, but I think it's a really important one given some of the cultural narratives right now. And that is, each one of you are so blazing the trail in each of your respective industries. You are clearly succeeding, thriving, like driving forward so ambitiously. I'm curious what you would say, what is the need to specifically support women entrepreneurs, and what might that look like for Canada to be the place for women entrepreneurs to thrive? This is the TED Talk mic. I'm handing you the TED Talk mic.
Okay, so I'm going to be a little controversial in my answer. I've been through a lot of programs. I've been through a lot of female-based programs. One of the things that drives me nuts is a lot of these programs will start from scratch. And it's like, what is your business mission? And what is your business model? And you're like, I am a girl, boots on the ground, getting it done. I do not need the basics. I need the real life actionables and how others have done it so that I can implement it tomorrow with my team and try it out, right? That has been the biggest thing for me, is a lot of those programs will start from the basics and the fundamentals, or they'll focus on some of the fluffier stuff like leadership, and not to say that that's not important, but at the same time, it's like, we're doing that already. It's great to have that support there and have good mentors around you to talk through some of those leadership things. But I like just having the boots on the ground, actionable stuff. Give me a tool I can walk away with and implement. That can make a huge difference in my business and keeping the lights on. And I think that's where a lot of us are. I also think that although we have our own challenges as women in business, I think they're not there. We still go through the same challenges as well as men. So going through and understanding how to work that in and treating us all with the same sort of strategies, what kind of comes back to my first point, understanding that a bit better and just giving us opportunities to scale and grow. I think we need more unicorns out there that are big growth, female-based companies.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Love that.
I prefer rainbow unicorn, just so we're
yes, rainbow
noted.
unicorn.
Noted. Okay, what do you think, Connie?
This is a topic I could go on for a long time, so I'll try and rein myself in. I think that there's a few things. One, I think, honestly, we almost have a moral obligation to take leadership as Canadians, partly because when you look at the bigger picture, you forget that most of the world does not look like we look like. And I'm not talking about ethnicity, but in terms of our privilege. And, you know, it's interesting, I gave a talk with some Enbridge folks recently on LGBT issues in business. And when you looked at the map, and I know that it's not entirely different for women, maybe the numbers are a bit different, but, you know, when I was looking at the map, there's big chunks of the world where, well, first off, there's still 69 countries where it's illegal for me to live or exist, 7 where it's the death penalty, including death by stoning, just in case you were curious. Certain places I do not travel. But the acceptance is, like, in some places down as low as 7%. And I know that it's not that different for women. The numbers might be better. Maybe it's 30% accepted for, you know, women to own businesses in North Africa. And I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I know that they're not pretty. In Canada, it's a totally different story. You know, here, I mean, the LGBT numbers were, I think, 87% acceptance, which is great, wonderful, I get to be me. And I would say it's even higher for women to own businesses and the acceptance level, but that's not the case around the world. I think Canada has always prided itself in leadership in terms of being socially just. And I think that that's where we really have to step up. I think that's where it's almost a moral obligation. That's why I'm always really out when I do my talks, because I want people to be aware, because there are other people who are struggling with the same issues. In terms of getting there, I think it's Rachel brought up a really good point. Not everybody's starting from the beginning. And a lot of times the women's programs, because there are so many women who are just entering into this space, they're targeted at that. This is my first year. It's my first 6 months. I've never written a business plan. But, you know, I'm looking at a 50,000 square foot facility with multiple production lines and stuff like that. That doesn't fit me. I've written more than one business plan, way more than one business plan at this point. And one of the things I really liked with the forum was access to specific expertise. You know, Canada is in Silicon Valley. You know, even when you're in the bigger hubs, and I mean, Edmonton is 1 million plus people, so we're not low on that end, and it's one of the best AI cities in the world. But most of the time, the tech advisors I talk to have never actually done this. They've never successfully exited a multi-million-dollar business. So who do I ask? Because they're just opening another textbook and going, well, it says, you know, and that's not reality. But I know that there are people on this call.
Textbooks don't go together.
Exactly. But there are people on this call and in this network that have. So being able to say, like, and throw out a question of, holy crap, pardon me, but here's my problem. I'm looking at needing to do this, and I need an expert who knows how to get UL certified, set up a UL certified facility. Like, that was something we had to search out that I didn't have before. But there are probably people on the call that have, but my tech advisor couldn't tell me, right? And I think that's very common. That's one of the things is precise expertise when you start to get to that next level is hard to get.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for that, Connie. Karen, to wrap us up.
I totally agree with what Connie and Rachel are saying. So many of the programs that I've been through too are kind of like, you know, the first part of it isn't necessarily relevant, and you're picking out pieces that you can try and apply to yourself. So being able to connect with mentors or advisors at the next stage specific to your industry would be so valuable. But also just like having specific tools. So, you know, many are going out to try and raise. In my situation, a lot of our growth is because we've been able to use, you know, grants that are available and, you know, government programs that are available, but it is kind of, you know, tricky to navigate, and there's a lot that goes into it. So having specific takeaways like these are grants that you could deal with. This is how, you know, you can like raise funding without diluting your business, you know, or like very specific different things that you can take away. So it's not like participate in this 12-week course where 10 of the weeks aren't valuable for you, but here, take these 2 weeks, which are super valuable and applicable to you. That would be really, really helpful to just have it more broken out. Just also because we're all so busy, you know, like committing to doing 12 weeks where, you know, you might not be able to use a lot of it. Like, it would just also be easier for people to say yes to things and to take them on if it's more specific to your actual needs.
Love that piece. Sure.
Can I add just one thing? I was thinking, one of the things, and I actually have to say I'm very pleased overall that the federal government has been making more and more strides to provide more equitable funding. Because when you look at the numbers, I mean, the amount of money that goes to Indigenous persons or women, et cetera, is really sadly low. But, you know, being a voice to the government and helping kind of bring our needs to them, like, you know, in some ways it's wonderful that they're making a step, but then you also see things like, you know, the new women's strategy got $20 million for all women in Canada. Like, that's a drop in the bucket compared to what they do. You know, and helping them kind of know where our needs are. Like, maybe it's providing some of those expertise. Maybe it's, you know, access to certain kinds of equipment, who knows, right?
I love that. It's a good call and piece around the advocacy that we're able to do and bring those voices forward. So I so appreciate that. All right, I'm looking at the clock here, and while I could honestly spend all day with you, I want to honor each of your time and everyone who's tuning in. So I'm going to, with deep, deep gratitude for each of you, wrap here. Congratulations on the incredible success. It's only been 3 months, which is absolutely incredible. To everyone who's been on the line, you've gotten the sneak peek of these updates. We will be sharing them externally with our broader community, of course, too, and making sure that we're amplifying the stories. And thank you so much for everyone for joining us today. I'll share that a lot of you know our fiscal year runs until June 30th. So we're also in the initial days of planning out our next year. We have one last program, one last cohort program, Money Moves, which is all around putting the pieces of the puzzle together towards a capital journey for entrepreneurs in June. And then we as a team take a little bit of a breath over the summer to really plan forward for the fall ahead. And so all of these components are so helpful for us to take into consideration too. We are, you know, embarking on our 20th year as an organization this year. Yes, there will be good celebrations to come, but it's 20 years to be so proud of the impact that has happened to date and to be so excited for the continued impact that can happen. But thank you so much for being part of the community that makes this kind of a difference and that is enabling these incredible women entrepreneurs to thrive, succeed, and that make us all proud. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you digitally soon, hopefully.